Hey everybody, so today I wanted to talk with you about a couple of products that I'm using for my family. One of them is ProBio5 and the other one is Plexus BioCleanse. These two products are awesome in my opinion, and I'm very excited about them. Just to give you a little bit of history, we have a 10-year-old son and he was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3, so that was 7 years ago. And he'd probably strangle me if he knew that I was sharing this about him, but luckily he's not in the house right now. When he was a baby, he would poop about once a month. And if we were lucky, he would go to the bathroom about twice a month. And when he would go to the bathroom, he would struggle so hard to produce a bowel movement. He would buck like a wild animal. He would scream and cry, even break out into a fever. He would sweat, and it would last for sometimes half the day. It was traumatic. And, we tried everything, all kinds of prescription medications, tons of different diets, warm prune juice, tons of water, all these different things, natural and even prescription alike. And nothing really ever worked for him long term. We even did suppositories with him frequently, and it just was not a productive thing. So what we did was we did for his autism, we did speech therapy, OT, and all those things that, most of the time your doctor would prescribe and your insurance will pay for. But what we did, and I believe that this was probably one of the most monumental things that we did in his life, and this was long before Plexus ever came into our lives, is we took him to a chiropractor. And we also saw a naturopathic doctor. Both of them prescribed for him a yeast protocol. They tested him for Candida yeast. We did a stool culture, a blood test, and a urine sample, as well as the spit test that Plexus actually promotes. And what happened was, in all of those tests, he tested not just positive, but it was like off the charts kind of positive. He clearly had a yeast overgrowth issue. We as parents were not sure at the time what the benefits would be of treating the yeast, but we treated it kind of on an act of faith, just trusting the chiropractor and the naturopathic health doctor to we kind of just trusted them that this would somehow benefit him, but we really just didn't know how. We thought maybe that the best benefit would be that it would help him poop. Now, back then, without knowing about Plexus, because I don't even think it was a company back then, but back then we had him on a very strict diet that limited sugars and simple carbs, and it consisted mostly of fruits, meats, and vegetables, but it kind of limited things like potatoes, so we couldn't really do that, beets and all those types of sugary and carb-laden vegetables that are generally good for you, but for him, it was just too much for him. So we did that. Now, the gluten, casein, and yeast-free diet that we had him on cost us roughly $600 per month in groceries just to be sure to feed him the foods that he could actually process. And it wasn't easy because he was addicted to things like chicken nuggets, breads, peanut butter, and all that stuff. And we never gave him much, actually, I don't even think we gave him candy on Halloween because I'm such a freak. I don't know. But we didn't even give him soda. He had never had a drink of soda until once when my mom gave it to him without me knowing when he was about 5 years old. But so the point is that it was a very strict diet. And on top of that, we were prescribed to give him probiotics. Now, what we gave him, each probiotic we had to buy separately, either at the natural health food store in town, which is expensive anyway, or directly at the chiropractor's office. So what I think is so cool is that when we started to treat the yeast, he not only began pooping regularly, about every other day or two, which was great, even though it's not what most doctors would consider optimal, but he began to produce bowel movements more frequently without the dramatics of the bucking like a wild animal and the sweats and the fevers and the crying and all that stuff. And it didn't take him hours to produce. It took maybe 10 minutes to 20 minutes to actually go to the bathroom. So we were thrilled. And then over time, he started making eye contact. He started being more interested in social interaction. He began to speak more, and in fact, now he doesn't stop talking. We used to pray for him to talk, and now we pray for him just to be quiet for 2 minutes so we can think straight. So it really did help him a lot. And if you fast forward 10 years, or 7 years rather, to where we are now, there came a point where my husband's insurance stopped covering the chiropractor's office, so we couldn't afford to do it. We were a single income family at the time. And then that meant that he wasn't on the probiotics and he really couldn't be on the diet because we just didn't have the funds. But I really just think that, God actually intervened and sort of didn't let him regress too much. So that was nice. But we knew that he still had some yeast issues. There were obvious signs like, the little pimples on his face, the bright red cheeks, things like that. So we knew that he had a yeast issue. Now, a couple of months ago, one of my friends, told me about Plexus and I was interested in it for weight loss, but then I found out that they had ProBio5 and BioCleanse, the two products that I showed you at the beginning of this video. I looked into those immediately, and what I want to tell you that I'm so excited about with ProBio5 is it has one of the key probiotics. On the back of the bottle, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this to you, and I think it's upside down. Anyway, somewhere down, anyway, I don't know what I'm doing, but the Saccharomyces boulardii is a specific strain of probiotics that is very effective in fighting Candida yeast. That bottle alone used to cost us about $85 at the chiropractor's office every single month. Now, I know that it worked because his symptoms decreased. So when I found out that ProBio5 has this ingredient in the bottle, I was thrilled. Now, last month I was at the gym working out at 5:30 in the morning. I ran into his chiropractor. She hadn't seen us for a long time. And I said, "Hey, Dr. Jane, do you remember what the name of that probiotic was and that killed Candida yeast that you were so sure of?" And she said, "Oh yeah, Saccharomyces boulardii, or S. boulardii, or SAC-B is what we call it for short." And I pulled out the bottle of ProBio5 and I said, "Check this out." I'm like, this has all 5 of the strains that I used to have to buy separately for anywhere from 25 to 85, and I think one of them was even up to 125 for a special blend. And she was shocked, So ProBio5 is a fraction of the price. I want you all to know how important this is because it costs, like about the price of one of the bottles that we used to buy. So I immediately put my son on that product. In addition to that, BioCleanse is a wonderful thing because not only does it oxygenate your body and detoxify your body, but it also removes the dead Candida yeast. And this is a huge thing. So when you're treating the issues inside of the gut, you're also getting rid of the sugar cravings, the carb cravings over time. And it's easier to not eat those products so that you're not feeding the yeast. So I just wanted to share with you how excited I am because buying the two products, ProBio5 and BioCleanse, separately through Plexus is not even not even a quarter actually of the price that I used to pay for all of these products. Because on top of the probiotics, I had to buy antifungals like grapeseed extract and things like that. So this has already changed our family's life. So an update on that is I don't have my son on a gluten-free, yeast-free, casein-free diet anymore because I just haven't gotten around to it, to be honest with you. But he is now on ProBio5 and BioCleanse. He's pooping every single day. It takes him 3 to 5 minutes and he's, still not crying or anything, but he feels better. He's actually told me that his stomach feels better. So I really just wanted to share that with you. I think it's so exciting. I think Plexus is making some great products. So if you're an ambassador and you're out there trying to talk about the products, I just want you to know these products are for real. They're not just something that someone's trying to gimmick you into buying or trying to get your customers to buy more stuff that they don't need. These products really do make a difference. Now, just keep in mind when you're talking to your customers about Candida yeast and about detoxification, everybody needs detoxification. We live in a toxic world, and no matter how conscientious of chemicals you might be, you're coming into contact with chemicals every single day, no matter what you do. Now, obviously, it's unreasonable to think that you can live in a bubble and just never come into contact with anything toxic, because that's just not reality. But to be able to remove some of the toxins is a really wonderful thing. What you should know, though, about ProBio5 and BioCleanse is if you are going to recommend this to your customer, you need to be upfront and honest with them that if they're using them as directed, they are probably going to experience some die-off reaction, or we call it detoxification or detox symptoms. We're not talking about like alcoholism or drug abuse detox symptoms, but we are talking about things like maybe stomach aches, headaches. Um, it might be that they can't think clearly, they can't sleep, they have body aches or things like that. This is to be expected, and you should just be honest with your customers. Now, I will tell you one little tidbit that helped my son when he was going through his die-off reactions is we actually were instructed by our chiropractor to get a hold of some activated charcoal. I'm going to be honest with you, it's not easy to get a child to consume activated charcoal because it comes in capsule form. So you're talking about having to sprinkle it in food, and they don't like that. But if you can swallow pills, then activated charcoal can sometimes help remove some of those toxins and lessen the detox symptoms. But another thing that most people can do to decrease the detox symptoms is just to simply drink more water and move your body more, because that will help to get rid of all those things. So the spit test is for real. I have confirmed it with local doctors, both naturopathic doctors and allopathic doctors. So they're aware of it. Mostly, just so you know, allopathic doctors, which are, traditional medical practice doctors, are not so much trained in natural health products. So most of them are probably going to look at you like you have 42 heads and you're crazy. But if you take it to a chiropractor, a naturopathic doctor, a homeopathic doctor, most of them are going to know about that. So it's a valid thing. I just want you to know that. Even Dr. Oz talks about it. You can actually Google that and find out. And the other thing too is there are a couple of other ways to determine whether or not you have Candida yeast, including what your diet looks like right now. And if you find that it's high in sugar and carbs, you may have a yeast problem because you're actually feeding that, because the yeast craves those types of products. Just to recap, BioCleanse helps you go to the bathroom. ProBio5 is a great product. It has all kinds of stuff to help kill Candida yeast, and it also includes grapeseed extract, which helps to remove the bacteria. So it's just a great product. I just want you all to be really encouraged by that. If you found that this video was helpful, I'd love for you to reach out to me at plexusmaine@gmail.com or visit my website at plexusmaine.com. Have a great day.